Allow my autistic daughter to get attacked at recess? Fine, allow my husband to absolutely violate you. A couple days ago, my daughter Olivia was assaulted during recess at her middle school. She was punched in the face by a boy who's known to be the class bully. I received a call from the school principal that started out with him saying that the school nurse felt my daughter needed to be seen in the emergency room. When I asked what happened, he sort of blew me off and urged me to pick her up immediately. My heart sank to my stomach. I sped over to the school as fast as I could. On the way there, I called my husband and he was already aware of the situation. He also just left work to go to school, so that made me feel a bit better. When I got there, I went to the front office and saw my daughter sitting by herself with an ice pack over her right eye. For context, my daughter is nonverbal and has autism. So when I saw her sitting by herself unsupervised, I was furious. She stood up and hugged me with her free arm while the other one held the ice pack over her eye. I almost cried, but I held it together for her. I put my arm around her and we walked to the back of the office in search of the principal. We get to the back and the principal is sitting at his desk, eating chips and typing on his laptop. I asked him what happened to my daughter and why she was left unsupervised in the front. He blew me off again. All he said was, "Ma'am, you can take your daughter to the hospital now." Mind you, this is my first interaction with this principal. We don't have an established relationship, so I'm flabbergasted at his rudeness. Also, she clearly doesn't need to go to the ER. She's not crying or throwing a fit. The only evidence of injury is a small ice pack over her eye. He brashly continues telling me that he's not sure what else he can do for me. He states that he's already advised me to seek out medical attention for my daughter, but if I don't comply with his advice, it's not his problem. At this moment, I absolutely lost it. I began screaming and cursing like a sailor. Tears rolled down my eyes as I yelled at him about how unhelpful he was and how hard it is to deal with schooling staff that disregard my child's special needs. He stood up and tried calming me down, but to no avail. I went on and on about how he should be more compassionate for his students and that he would understand if he was a parent. At this moment, his demeanor went from worried to infuriated. He began yelling back at me. He told me he lost his first child a couple months ago due to a freak car accident. He said I have no right to judge his authority and that he's trying his best to overcome his own personal circumstances. He told me that if his son was alive right now, he would take him to the hospital without hesitation rather than storming to the back of the office and causing a ruckus in front of his child. I froze. I truly didn't have anything to say. I felt horrible for losing my temper and criticizing this man. However, at the same time, I knew my daughter did not need medical attention for a bruised eye. I don't know his financial circumstances, but I know that I can't afford outrageous hospital prices unless it's severe. I looked down at my daughter, who seemed calm but confused. She's looking up at me with her head turned to the side and biting her finger for context. Autistic children will bite or chew on their fingers in order to alleviate anxiety or stress, and this is definitely a stressful and anxiety-inducing situation I've put my daughter in. I felt terrible and tried apologizing to the principal. In the middle of me trying to right my wrongs, he cuts me off and begins yelling at me to get out of his office. At this moment, I turn around to the sound of heavy footsteps and see my husband